Yeah, I'm gonna tell you about my first time DMing Dungeons and Dragons. I say this is my first time, it really was not. What I mean by that is it was my first time DMing a long campaign. I DM'd a lot of one-shots, and let me tell you something that no one prepares you for, and that's going from a one-shot to a long campaign. Literally no one prepares you for that. So back in 2018, I was in 8th grade, and I discovered D&D. I kind of heard about it beforehand, but this was kind of the first time I ever really started to kind of play it. And what really got me into it was the original Smosh D&D, back when Joven Shire did it, when he had like that split campaign. And I kid you not, what I did was I put my friend group on a railroad track, and I did that campaign bar for bar. Like, it was literally, that was the campaign. Nothing was different about it from when they played it. And so that's what I did. Second time I ever DM'd, I basically did the same thing, but with Shield Hero. I just finished season 1 of Shield Hero, and so I put my friends back on a railroad track, and we went through the entirety of season 1 of Shield Hero. So those are my first 2 times DMing. After that, I kind of did my own stuff, but they were once again only one-shots because we could never really get scheduling down, which is always the bane of it. Every D&D party ever is scheduling a time to play. And so, you know, we just went about kind of just doing one-shots, all with like the idea of hopefully one day making them into longer campaigns, but they never eventually ended into longer campaigns. Until it was probably 2024. Yes, 2024. Me and my friends were playing a game called Hero Quest. You may know what that is, you may not know. It's basically D&D, but more of a dungeon crawler style with no role play. It's just straight combat, roll the dice, that's how many spaces you move, things like that. And so we played that, and as we're playing it, I'm like, guys, we have to play D&D. We have to at least try it one time. They had never played it before, and so I was kind of like the guy. I was like harboring, hey, we really should play D&D. It would be fun. And eventually, I was able to convince them to do it. And so we get ready to play D&D in person. This is the first time I ever played it in person. I'd always played it through Roll20 and Discord. And so we sit down. We did what's the module? I'm trying to think. Icespire Peak, Dragon of Icespire Peak. We did that module. And so we ran it until whatever the level you get to it on. And then I segued from that campaign into my completely homebrew campaign. Now, here's another thing you should probably never do with D&D. And this is what I had to learn the hard way. I never wrote anything down. Everything I did was kind of like in my head, and I just had the thought of, hey, this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, and kind of go about it that way. You probably should not do that. You should probably write things down. I learned that the hard way. Okay, buddy. And so we go about that campaign, and honestly, so this is the first time I did a very long campaign, and when we first played D&D, when they first got a hold of it, they were absolutely hooked. I'm talking, they wanted to play 24/7. And me, being a person that never really got to experience D&D, was all in for it. So I'm talking, we played as much as we could. We would play 3 to 2 times a week just grinding out D&D. Now this burnt me out a ton. And I'd literally just kind of give the party whatever they wanted. If they asked for +2 AC, I'm giving them +2 AC for like $3. Like, that is what was happening. It was honestly insane. Literally anything they wanted, they kind of got. Another thing you probably should not do in your D&D games is give the party whatever they want. Especially AC boosts. Learned that one the hard way. I'm talking I gave them the Cloak of Displacement, so they I would have disadvantage on attacking them until they took damage, and I gave that to my rogue, who never took damage, because even if I hit him with an AoE thing, he would just hit him with the whatever the feat ability is that lets you just take no damage at all. He would just do that. And so literally I could do no damage to him, so I just stopped attacking him, and I would just attack any other member of the party. And I was constantly just kind of throwing stuff at them to kind of make them a problem, but they were so overpowered that they literally could beat anything. And they would also metagame like crazy. And so I would just skew the stats on literally everybody. I'm talking, I'm giving just your regular orc 200 HP, because if I don't, they all get one shot like immediately. And so yeah, they had a bunch of magical items. They literally had a bunch of legendary items, and they were granted only level like 6 when they had all this stuff. We played until about level 11, but you would basically think they were level 20 with how they were killing people. They went to Avernus and killed Zariel. And honestly, that Zariel fight was just something else. It was like 1 in the morning. We had been playing since like 7 p.m. and I just wanted to go to sleep. But they're like, no, let's do the Zariel fight, because that's where I had left on the cliffhanger. And I'm like, all right, fine, we'll do it. And so I kind of just ran the Zariel fight. They had summoned freaking the Archangel Gabriel to fight in that fight as well. Just a whole mess of stuff went down. And so they were super overpowered. They had super high AC. I couldn't really kill them. There was no stakes. They just kind of did whatever they want. And you may be wondering, how in the world did it get to this? I gave them the deck of many things. Never, and I mean never, give your party the deck of many things when they just want to be overpowered. Because at this stage, that's all my party wanted, all my friends wanted, because, you know, they're all competitive. They didn't play D&D like, hey, you would normally think someone play D&D of kind of, hey, get into character or role play. No, they wanted to just be as strong as they possibly could, and I don't blame them, because that's kind of all they known in games prior, like Risk, Catan, and even Hero Quest. It was kind of a me first mentality. And so they get the deck of many things. The first card they pull was the Wish card. I don't know how unlikely that is or how likely it is, but I kind of gave them the deck of many things, not thinking they'd pull the Wish card first, and they pulled the Wish card first. And so normally you're like, okay, whatever, you know, they can cast a wish. They got 3 wishes. And I forget what 2 of the wishes were, but one of the wishes was, I want to split this wish among the party so everyone gets 1 wish. And I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be cool. We could do that. So every party member had a wish, and they all wished for stuff. Hey, I wish to know where this person in my backstory was. I wish for the Belt of Hill Giant Strength. I wish for the Robe of Many Stars. I wish for the Cloak of the Magi, the Staff of the Magi, things like that. And it got to the point where they would start pulling cards from the deck, and if they didn't get a good card, they would just wish they never pulled the card. They'd wish for time to rewind, and they'd get just a random civilian to pull the card, and he'd suffer that punishment. And I did all of their wishes. I granted every single one of them. And at the end of the session, I'm reading over the wish spell, and I see at the very bottom, You may choose to have the wish not work. I had overlooked that, and I just granted every single wish they asked for. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I didn't go back on anything. I kind of let the wishes just stay, and we just continued playing the campaign, and it eventually, we all got burnt out. Scheduling became a thing, you know, where are we gonna do it? And it was just super overpowered, so we took about a year off. And now brings us to our current campaign that we're playing through. We are 20 sessions deep, and we've been playing for about a year. We try to do bi-weekly, so twice a month, give or take, if we're able to. But you know, life comes up every now and then. And this campaign has been so much better than all of the other ones. I learned to say no and not give them whatever they wanted. I also learned to kind of space out items so they're not super overpowered, but also to kind of not give them as much gold and, you know, like things like that. And so they're level 9 now. They just hit level 9. And it has been so much better of a campaign. Everyone's kind of understood, hey, we need to roleplay. We need to be more in character. They took more time in their backstories. And overall, I think it's just been a better campaign. So right now, they have found themselves in a human-only country. Most of the party is not human, so that, you know, brings up the question, oh, hey, are they going to get through here? And they just led a rebellion, or helped the rebellion overthrow the kingdom. And now they're about to fight a red dragon. I gave them a bunch of gold for overthrowing the kingdom, and they got a bunch of stuff. So they're a little bit stronger now because, you know, they're level 9. They don't have to be as weak. And, you know, it's going to throw them into more difficult challenges and fights. And so the big bad so far of the campaign is a guy named Revan Blood. Now, Revan Blood has been alive for a very long time. He's about 400 years old or so. He's a human wizard. And, you know, what the party have gathered and seen from Revan Blood, I meant to do this, but whatever, is he's kind of gone mad with power. So originally he started out as this noble young wizard, and they had like his journal. And he found a tome, and that tome slowly corrupted his mind, and he turned into who he is now, Revan Blood. He killed his party members, and he did a little Voldemort, and has made Horcruxes, basically. I don't know what that guy was doing. And these Horcruxes are what basically makes him immortal and keeps him alive. And so they found out how to find the Horcruxes and destroy them, basically. I call them soul anchors because they just sound cool. And so they're going to try to do that. And so that's kind of the thing with Revan Blood. But there's also some kind of like side villains. There's a guy named Smoke, who I was inspired a lot by Smoker from One Piece. But he's kind of like a bandit, rogue captain kind of thing, like leader of the Thieves Guild. And so Smoke helped them, I say help them, they helped Smoke because one of my party members had to go on like a beach vacation. It was gonna miss 2 sessions. So I took a page out of Critical Role's book and had him like kidnapped by a group of slavers. And so these group of slavers, they track him down to this location, and the place is kind of like in a turf war between like 3 factions. You had the slavers, you had the rogues, which were called Shadow Cloaks. I believe they were called Shadow Cloaks. They may have just been called Shade Cloaks. I forget what I named them. And a group of rebels. They were ex-slaves, and they were kind of throwing over both of them. But whoever had the nobles and lords in their pocket was kind of in control of the city. And right now, the slavers, they were called the Vultures, had basically the city in their pocket. And so the party gets there, they do a little investigation, and then they find Smoke, because they had ran into one of his members before getting to the city. And so they talked to Smoke, and he's like, yeah, I can get you into the auction. They were doing a little auction house, ballroom kind of thing. So the party's like, okay, we'll do that to get into the auction so we can get our party member back. And so they meet up with Smoke. They do a little quest for him, and he gets them into the auction ballroom house. They get into the auction. They do this crazy big fight with the leader of the vultures. His name was Jax. He was a tiefling. And Jax's whole thing was, you know, because he's a slaver, he could charm and take control of people. And he took control of the party's barbarian. And when I talk about I've never seen someone roll as many nat 20s as this guy rolled while he was charmed to attack his teammates, was absolutely insane. I'm talking every attack on the party's fighter was a nat 20, which eventually resulted in his death. He was an orc fighter samurai. His name was Stormfang, and he was the party's first death in both campaigns because they were super overpowered in the first campaign, so they never really died. So this was the first time my friends got to experience death, and they couldn't bring him back because they were level 4 or 5, I believe, so they didn't have revive, and they were in a town that didn't have like a cleric to do it, and they didn't have enough time either ways because so he died. They had like a huge Viking burial for him. Like they shipped him off in a boat and like lit his corpse on fire. Super cinematic, and really kind of set the tone for this campaign, that hey, this is going to be a lot different than the past one. You can't just kind of do whatever you guys want to do. There will be consequences. You have to kind of think about your actions and what you're going to do. And so one of the party members was very super close with Stormfang, who died. There's two actually. One of them got Jax's sword, which is like a cool chain sword, and named it Stormfang in like remembrance of Stormfang. The other one blamed Smoke. So during this whole fight fiasco, Smoke was just kind of sitting there because they never asked him for his help, but plus he also just didn't want to fight. And so this party member is enraged by Smoke doing nothing, and so he calls out to a god of vengeance, any god of vengeance, and the Raven Queen answers him. So the Raven Queen answers him and is basically like, hey, you know, you ask for vengeance and all this. If you become a follower of me, I will give you the vengeance you seek. And so he makes an oath of vengeance with the Raven Queen. And so now he's making it like his life goal to hunt down and kill Smoke. And he's just, you know, trying to convince the party like, hey, let this be the time we do it. And so, give me my artifact back. And he's like, hey, let this be the time we do it. And so they're hoping to eventually track down, find, and kill Smoke. And so this brings us to the prince's birthday party. The prince's birthday party was this huge moment of like, hey, come to the ballroom. The prince is throwing a party because I'm all over the place, I know. But so the campaign started out in a city called Ravendell. In Ravendell, their lord was like poisoned and turned into this crazy monster, and the party did this whole thing where they saved the city, found out who did it. It was a person in this group called the Unseen Hand. And so they do all this stuff, and they, you know, free Ravendell of the Unseen Hand, or so they think. And so there's an election for the new Lord of Ravendale, and one of the party members runs in the election. This is where Revan Blood was introduced. He saved the party, or not the party, but the city, from a red dragon attack. Turns out this red dragon attack was planned by Revan so he could get some favor in the city. And he blackmailed one of the party members. So one of the party members, after everyone's kind of sworn their hatred towards Smoke, has been secretly working with Smoke to kind of find the location of his father. And I'll get to this character in a moment because it's honestly pretty funny. This character's like entire backstory. So he's been working with Smoke, and we get to the Princess party because they were invited because one of the party members ran for Lord, but they didn't get it because he was getting blackmailed by Revan, saying, hey, if you don't vote for me, I'll expose your secret to your friends. And so he voted for Revan. And by one vote, Revan won the election. And so they get to the prince's birthday party, and this party member, his name is Edward, and his character's name is Edward, was tasked by Smoke to steal a document regarding the prince. It's like a deed to some kind of land. He does, but he gets caught in the act by one of his party members. And so there's this whole big blowout. He goes to Smoke and they do all this stuff. And then eventually it gets exposed by Revan, everything that Edward has done. Voting for Revan, working for Smoke as long as he has been. And so the party's kind of fractured at this prince's birthday party. And then Revan exposes kind of a little snippet of his big plan. And that's that he has a bunch of doppelgangers that turned into the party. And he basically says, hey, either you leave or I kill you. But once you leave, these doppelgangers are going to go out into the ballroom and they're going to start wreaking havoc and killing a bunch of people, and you're going to get framed. And so I had a player NPC kind of in the party as a cleric because it was very lopsided. There was no healers, so I had to give them a cleric. Otherwise, they had no healer whatsoever. And so the party's like, no, we're not going to leave. We're going to fight to the death. And this cleric, her name was Fiona. She was blind. Basically, divine interventions ask her god of justice to, save the party. And they get teleported behind the iron wall, which is where the human-only place is. And for all they know, Fiona could be dead. She could be captured. They have no idea. But everyone in the prince's party, other than, like Smoke and like the main characters and stuff like that, were all killed, and the party is to blame. And so that's kind of where the party is at now in my D&D campaign. I think it's going pretty well. About that Edward character, yeah, so he's looking for his father. His father's name is Montague, and there's been this whole running joke between me and him because he's played in every campaign I've ever done, especially the one-shots. And he always names his character Montague because he's like, I can't think of any other name. And so it kind of led to this thing called the Curse of the Montague, where his characters never finished their journey because they always got canceled, and we did new campaigns and things like that. And his father was the character he played in the last campaign, and he's that character's son named Edward. Montague is the last name, and he's trying to find his father as his father was trying to stop the Curse of the Montague. And so we've kind of come up with this thing. It's like the curse is whenever a Montague doesn't complete their journey, they get the sickness, and the sickness eventually overtakes them and they die. And so at one point in this campaign, we took a little hiatus for 3 or so months, and I'm using that as a jumping point for his curse to start activating. And he's going to start getting these symptoms and sicknesses to kind of speed him and the party up on trying to find out how to stop this curse and kind of moving his plot forward. And so kind of like all the campaigns I've done, I'm kind of keeping them in the same world so we can do little callbacks and things like that. But that's basically the summary of my D&D campaign. I know it was kind of all over the place, and yeah, learn from my mistakes. Do not make your party super overpowered. Do not increase their AC by 3 when they're level 4. Don't give them a bunch of magical items for no gold, and don't give them a bunch of gold to where they can buy anything they want. and there's no challenge whatsoever. And do not, and I repeat, do not give them the deck of many things, because you will regret it, especially when they draw the wish card. And when they draw the wish card, learn to say no. The wish does not work. But yeah, that's my D&D adventure.